It's like the best video ever.
This is crazy.
We got 25 minutes. We gotta go. Boom, 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 boom.
Hey!
Happy Hump Day!
Hump Day. We really need a camel.
No, we really actually we gotta get some graphics on this bad boy. Let's get this thing figured out.
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out.
Happy Wednesday, Say That Nation.
Happy Wednesday. I'm excited for today. I'm super, super excited for today.
I'm incredibly today is absolutely going to be a good one. One of the things that I have been doing though is telling you guys that when you check us out live, we appreciate you guys, but you have to go and check out last week's episode. We're not going to share what happened last week, but I am telling you, it was an absolute blessing to have Ellen and Alex come through. Alex, we just so you guys know, we are playing full out. We have a session scheduled with Alex for ourselves.
Yes.
This week, actually tomorrow, to talk about our business. So we'll share the information down in the comments afterwards. But you guys definitely got to go check out Alex, the business coach. She literally and for anyone, all of our Patreon community members, you guys, I know you guys got that tea. Like yes. I know you guys got that tea because she was bringing a lot of gems and nuggets in the Patreon session. So if you have not subscribed to our Patreon, Jay's gonna drop that information for you guys before the show's over. You definitely want to subscribe and become a Patreon community members. But enough about that. Let's get to today's question. All right, let's throw that bad boy up. This one is gonna be a good one. Boom.
Today's question is, isn't network marketing just one big pyramid scheme?
Ooh, they said the pyramid word. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm actually gonna ask if I could please start with this.
Yes, go ahead, take it away. While I take a sip.
Okay, good. All right. So let me think. So Janelle and I have been in this now combined for about 13 years. Is it 6 for you, Jay?
Yes.
Yeah, right. All right. So one of the reasons I love this is we've been coached on this, we've been trained on this from stage. And one of the biggest I guess where people have a lack of understanding of what the difference is between a pyramid scheme, which is a very real thing in the industry of network marketing, and what a legit network marketing and direct sales company look like. And the one thing you guys can look at, if you want to know, if you're listening and you are somebody who is being pitched on a company, pitched on an idea, the one distinguishing thing that you can look to see if you are being signed up in a pyramid scheme is this: if you are compensated for bringing in representatives into the company, meaning you get some type of commission for the person joining as a rep, agent, whatever the name is. If you're being compensated, there we go. If you're being compensated for that, that is a huge red flag. That is a pyramid scheme. If you are signing up for a legitimate network marketing company, the only way that you earn commissions is from the sale of a product or service. That is the one big distinguishing thing. If I get a compensation for Janelle seeing the information for my company, deciding that, hey, I want to join you in building something, and the way I get paid is when she signs up as an agent, rep, whatever you call it, that is a pyramid scheme because there is no product, there is no service being offered there. We're being compensated for that, for doing that work. Now, in a legitimate network marketing company, I can sell skincare, like I said, electricity, legal services. Thank you. Travel membership. I mean, on and on and on and on and on. But if there's a tangible product, or even if it's intangible and it's a service, then you are working with a legitimate network marketing company and not a pyramid scheme. And this is a great question, because many people they see opportunities like what we present through our industry, and they miss out because they've been told that all of the companies in a network marketing industry are pyramid schemes, and that is the farthest thing from the truth. So that's just the I guess not necessarily my take, but just the facts. I mean, you can look this up yourself of what the difference is between a network marketing company and a pyramid scheme are.
So let's talk about that, right? So why do people call it a pyramid scheme? Like what even has them thinking that, right? So number one, I think there's a ton of people out there who just don't know to call network marketing. Some people have also heard it as multi-level marketing or MLM, and that just means that there's multiple ways to get paid. Some people have heard it as like direct sales, right? So there are many different names, and sometimes pyramid scheme is like another name that someone hears, but they just don't know, like that's all they know. There's not necessarily in their mind a negative connotation to that. It's just another name for it in terms of a business model. So I've definitely come across that. And then the other thing that I've also heard is the negative connotation, right? They say it's a pyramid scheme as if it's a Ponzi scheme, right? So it's like an interchangeable kind of concept, like Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme, whatever it is, it's fake.
All bad.
People are trying to get me for my money. That's what people are thinking, right? And so I always like to ask more questions, like, well, what do you mean by pyramid scheme, right? And so I like get a kind of answer from somebody. And sometimes you'll have some people say, well, when I mean pyramid scheme, I mean like the person at the top is the one who makes all the money, and the person below or the people below don't make as much money or don't make any money at all, and anything in between. And that to me, I think is like a slightly different like understanding. And so that's when I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is a different conversation then, right? Because if you think of it that way, let's think about other business models, right? I used to work at a hospital, and I can tell you that where I worked in the hospital, I was kind of like lower on the totem pole. And if I worked harder than my manager or my supervisor, would I get paid more than my manager or my supervisor? The answer was certainly not, right? And if my supervisor and manager worked harder, and we all like worked significant hours, but if worked harder or more hours than their superior, would they get more money than their superior? Certainly not, right? And if their superior worked harder and did more time in the job than, let's say, the vice president of the hospital, would they make more money than the vice president? Certainly not. And the same with the vice president and the president and the CEO and the owner of the hospital, right? Like we can go all the way up. And that's the medical system. I can talk about the same thing about other corporate entities. And the truth is that they also follow what would be considered a pyramid-like structure or a triangle, in that there's somebody at the top who makes the most money and everybody else below does not. So if that's the case, then that would mean all sorts of corporate structures are also a pyramid scheme, and only that there's somebody at the top who makes all the money and the rest of the people within the organization don't make as much money and never will, to be quite, it's built that way that they will never make, right, as much money as the person who's the CEO or top, if you will. And what I have found with the network marketing companies that I've been involved with is that that's actually not the case. So I'll just give my personal example. The person who got me started, right? They're above me, right? In the tree or the compensation plan, right? They're above me because they got started before me, and they certainly enrolled me or sponsored me. And so if we were to think in that model, that means that person who got me started I should never make more money than the person who's above me, right? Shouldn't do it. We just talked about it. That's not how that works in a pyramid scheme. Well, I can tell you that I make more money than the person who got me started, right? I make more money than the person who got me started. If this were a pyramid scheme, then that wouldn't be possible, right? That's not the way that this works, right? If we're just talking about that kind of system and how it's built. So now you start to have to wonder, like, wait, so if I can get more money than the person above me, then what is this? Like, how do you... And then that's when I think when people start to think like, oh, then I guess I don't get it. And like, tell me more. I want more information. How is that possible? Because the jobs that I know about, I could never make more money than my manager or the person who like hired me. Like, no way. So like, how does that work? And that is one of the differences between the business model of network marketing, whether you want to call it multi-level marketing, whichever way you want to term it. That is the difference between this business model, because in this business model, you get paid for your effort and time. So if you're putting in more effort and you're having more results than the person who's above you, you can get paid more than them.
Absolutely.
And that's so one of the reasons why they call it multi-level in that way, because like there's multiple levels, right? Yeah. And just because you got in at entry level, let's say, doesn't mean that you can't eventually rise to the top and get as much money as the CEO, right? Like it is definitely possible. So to me, I have gone through this process myself with not understanding. Like I did not understand. I'm going to be quite honest. When I first came to a presentation where someone showed me the service side you get, the product side you get, that part made sense to me. But then it was the other side that felt kind of icky because I've never been a business owner before. I've never been in business. So I didn't understand. I was like, okay, like it makes sense to me. And these people seem to be doing well and they're making money with this. But like, is this one of those things that like, because I saw the triangle, I saw it on the screen, but isn't it one of those things? And like, it was just really interesting. In fact, the person who was talking also said that she was also making more money than the person who got her started. And that caught my attention. And I was like, oh, I guess this isn't what I thought it was. And then lo and behold, again, I ended up outworking the person who got me started, and I ended up having the same story. So it is one of those beautiful things. If you ask me, it's just simply amazing that that you have an ability to actually earn an income more than the person who got you started, more than the person above you, however you want to see it. I just know that like in the corporate world, in the world that most people are in, that's just not possible, right? It's just not. And so like all of a sudden you're shown something new and it's like, wait, what's happening? But like nobody else, shouldn't everybody be doing this?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't everybody doing this? Yeah. If like, bro, like I can actually outwork the person who got me started and make more money. Like, why aren't more people doing this? And I think that is a different question. And we can dig in a little bit about that. But for me, like once I figured that out, I was like, oh, this isn't anything like what I thought it was, right? In terms of a scam or something like that. This was like, this was different. It was a lot different.
Oh no, I love this. I gotta say, I love today's question. God, I love today's question. And I want to dive into a lot of what Janelle talked about. One of the reasons why I really do love this question, though, is because one of the reasons why we have this platform, this channel even exists, is because there's so much misinformation around our industry, and so many people are missing out on the blessing of what Janelle's story is, because you're probably never heard a person that you work with or works at another just traditional job or business give you a story where they went in, worked harder, and was earning more money than the person who hired them or anything. So that story is absolutely powerful. Drop a comment or drop it in a fire emoji, something in the chat if you guys love that to be your story. And two things I want to touch on that I love that Janelle went into. And one, I'll give the comparison of what it looks like in the real estate business, another job where it's commission based and there's an opportunity, obviously, to get a percentage. And as an ex real estate broker, meaning I was an agent at one point, you take an exam, you get promoted to some degree to a broker. So I had the opportunity, thanks to my managing partner, to hire other agents under me. So similar, and this is why I was eventually going to be in this industry for the rest of my life, because I've understood the power of leverage. Now, in a brokerage firm, you have a broker. This broker is responsible for maintaining the office. They have the ability to hire other agents underneath them. And what they do is, for giving you listings or giving you access to real estate listings, apartments, commercial listings, sales listings, they want or deserve, the way it's structured, a percentage of your earnings. So you go out and rent an apartment, you make a sale, they get a percentage. You can argue, you can negotiate, whatever that is. But this person has created, in essence, what Janelle said, their own little pyramid. They are at the top, and they can hire as many agents. They can open other offices, and they can hire as many agents. It literally looks very similar to what I remember when I started this. Now, the difference there is, and unless you are given the ability to, in our industry in network marketing, I, to Janelle's point, can go out and recruit and create my own team where I now start earning income, working with and helping my team grow. That's what I love about our industry. As you grow as a leader, meaning you start training, bringing people in, educating them on what they need to do to go out and have success, the company allows you to be rewarded for doing this. Now, many of you, if you're on here and you work at a job, I'm sure you have been asked at your job to train or help one of the new employees learn some facet of your job. And very rarely, I'm sure of this, are you compensated for that. I actually can tell you of another industry within fitness where brand new trainers were hired. The company asks for you to recommend people to be hired to become personal trainers, and they would give you a small bonus. I remember my company, I won't say the name of it. They offered you $500 if that person came on and was hired as a trainer. Now, I can tell you that I made that company hundreds of thousands of dollars, and to be compensated for $500 for someone making them hundreds of thousands of dollars seems incredibly unfair to me. Whereas in our industry, to Janelle's point, she can help and train a group of people under her, and she will be compensated for life as long as she remains active in her business. That just seems to make more sense. I won't even say fair. It just, to me, makes more sense. I remember my mom as an example. My mom literally got let go from her job, but she trained the person they fired her for. After working there for 15 years, they hired someone, brought that person in. My mom trained this person for 90 days, and then they fired her or let her go and paid that person less than what my mom was making, because it makes more sense to that corporation to do that, because financially, that is how they are structured. They cut people. I mean, we see this all over the news. That companies constantly downsize. But do you really think they're letting go 5,000 people and not having that work go to someone else? That they're now making do the work and not compensating them anymore? Right? So the other aspect of it, and I love when Janelle brought the fact that you can come in and earn more money based on, again, your level of productivity, is the fact that when most people, and I want to go back to Janelle, if you can, what your emotions or thought was when you said, I saw the pyramid. Because we've done thousands of presentations over the time that we've been in this, and I've rarely been asked plainly out front, someone go, oh, isn't this one of those things? And they usually don't go, is this a pyramid scheme? They say, isn't this one of those things? And this is a little training point, and I know we don't normally get into training points. One of the things you want to do when people ask things like that, or guys give you what you'd consider as a objection, is to ask more questions, because you need to understand, where is this person coming from? Isn't this one of those things? What do you mean? Oh, one of those things where the person on the top makes all the money and everybody else doesn't. And this is just my advice, to then say, oh, you mean like your job, is probably not the best approach. One, because that person may feel attacked. Because to Janelle's point, it necessarily might not be like how their job is structured. And we certainly don't want to offend anyone. But there are slight differences. So if you continue asking more questions, I love how Janelle broke it down. You're going to get that person to get to the same conclusion that you have on their own. You literally can walk with them through the process. And shout out to the person who did the presentation for Janelle, because I think that's what they helped her understand. And they did it with a story. Here's what's happened for me, and it's possible for you. That's the difference. Here's what's happened for me, and it's possible for you. Whereas, again, if you come into a job, a traditional job, if it's not commission based, you're only going to be capped at whatever you agree to sign up to work for. I'm assuming you sign a contract or some type of agreement that says you make X amount of dollars. Once you are given that cap, guys, it doesn't matter how hard you work. That is usually, unless you get some promotions or some bonuses thrown in there occasionally, that is the difference. In our industry, there's very many models that I've seen, and the payouts may be capped in certain areas, but the earning potential through teams, and I love what Janelle brought it up, binaries or just multi-level, however your comp plan is structured. If you go out and start a new business center, which is allowed, LLCs, Like, again, we're running a business. Go out and start a new business center. You can earn whatever through that business center, through your own name, another LLC. Like, you can continue to earn in our industry well above whatever the comp plan is usually structured to be. So, I mean, we could definitely go down a rabbit hole on this for sure, because this is, again, I think a lot of people walk away from this opportunity because and I don't know if they're necessarily afraid of sales or anything like that, but they just don't understand. They really just don't understand. Go.
Well, to your question, you were like, can you talk a little bit about when you saw it? So again, I saw it and I was like, is this like you're trying to understand? Because again, this is something I've never seen before. There's a mentor of mine who used to play football, and he describes when he saw it, he was like, oh, it looked like football. It was like circles and lines.
Yeah.
Not even that for me. I was like, so like, I was just like, oh, it looked like a triangle, right? And there was definitely somebody on the top, and they made it clear that you could make money based off of the sales of the people under you, right? Or after you, depending on the type of wording that people use. And I was like, okay. And to Winston's point, I had the thought, but what captivated me were two things. One, they kept saying residual income, and I'll come back to that in a second because I had never heard of residual income before. And two, the story. So the story is what really made me understand. And so even though I saw this structure, and then the story was, hey, I got started, and because I worked harder than the person who got me started, I actually make more money than that person, like the person above me. And they literally just said that, I make more person than the person above me. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm not afraid to do hard work. To your point, it was just hearing the story of if it's possible for that person, I was just thinking, well, then it's possible for me, right? All of a sudden, whatever I was thinking about, the person at the top always making more money, that idea immediately just became
wait. So that was your sticking point?
No, it wasn't my sticking point. It was, in terms of what I was thinking, because I was seeing something that I had never seen before, but understood structurally that it looked like the person on the top got all the money. And then when I heard the story, my understanding of that picture that they just showed me changed. Wow. Yeah. And so that's all that was. It wasn't I was going to say yes or no based on that picture. That wasn't it. Whether I was going to say yes or no actually had to do with whether I had enough money or not to get started. So that's a whole nother story. But when I saw the picture, I was just like, oh, is that the thing where the person at the top makes all the money? That's what I thought. And then I heard the story and I was like, oh, so it's not that. Okay, so that's possible. There's this possibility of making more money than the person above you. So to me, it was just oh, this isn't this isn't what I thought it was. But here's the thing. And then what happened, I will say this though, two things. One, when then I tried to explain that to other people who also, like me, had never seen this structure before, been explained, it was hard for me to describe why it wasn't one of those things, because I didn't know that I should just repeat the story that I heard. Right? So it was hard for me. So then I'm showing it to somebody and someone's like, yeah, but isn't it one of those things where the person on the top makes all the money? And I'd be like, no, it's kind of your job, right? I could say that, but what I didn't have was the story. I didn't have the story to be oh, I totally get what you're saying. I thought the same thing. But my mentor actually makes more money than the guy who put her in. And then eventually it did become my story. It went from my mentor to then it's my own story. And then of course that changes your mindset a little bit. But that to me was the sticking point on the other end of it, right? So now you're trying to tell other people about this amazing thing, and you're I don't understand why you don't get it, how amazing this is, and they're it's a scam. But I didn't have the story to describe that I had, the story, the thing that changed it for me. So anyway, so that's one thing, and then the second thing I want to say is, the other reason why some people think it's a scam or it's one of those things is because they do know somebody who did one of those things and it didn't work for that person. That person never made money, good. Right? So again, it's not the structure itself that's the scheme. They may not know, but they're it's something like this that a friend, a cousin, a mother, a father, a brother, or a sister did, and they didn't make any money with this. They didn't quit their job. They didn't drive a new car. Like they didn't see any kind of real like success, tangible success, right? Or visible success. And so they're like, that seemed like a waste of time and a lot of waste of money. So it's a scam because it doesn't bring you the money that you guys just reported from the front of the room, right? So that is something different, right? Because if you see like a coffee shop owner, I'm thinking of one in particular, but if you see a coffee shop owner and that coffee shop ends up not working out, they end up closing down because, just didn't work out. So now it's like, does that mean like owning a coffee shop is just a bad idea, period? Right? Just because that one coffee shop owner that you knew, like it just didn't work out for them. And so that's the other thing that people start to like, it's just interesting, right? Like if it doesn't work for one person, does that mean like the whole thing doesn't work?
Yeah.
And that's like I think the other thing that sometimes people think about.
That's a good one.
About this. And it's important to separate the two things. I think it's really important to separate it. Just because of the results of somebody else doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the same results. But also, let's be fair, like any other business where the efforts do depend on yourself, not everybody's going to make the money because not everybody puts in the amount of effort because they're so used to putting in time and getting paid instead of putting in efforts that lead to results to getting paid, right? So it's like it's different, people aren't used to that. They're like, oh no, I'd much rather just put in my time, and whether I do anything or not, I know I'm going to get paid, right? And so like because it's different here, and people don't see like a bunch of people don't always have results. People don't always have results. They don't always make money. That's the truth of the matter, is because they're not used to doing something on their own. They're not used to having to push themselves to do the work because they don't have a boss over their shoulder telling them what to do. So it's it's just and again, it's through conversation. It's when people start to really listen. They're like, huh, that's true. That's true, and it is scary that I'm out here doing something on my own. And so like if it doesn't work, it's important to tell people, it didn't work, but like it's not because of the company. It's
let's just keep going.
Yeah, it's not because of the company. It's it's because of the effort of that person.
Well, man, so you were gonna finish?
That's it.
Okay. So 3 things. I know we're gonna go a little bit over time on YouTube. One of the things I thought about, and another way of what Janelle just said is, and we've heard it this way: how many people do we know have been in car accidents and yet still drive? And I don't mean obviously someone who's been in a horrific accident or anything like that, but I mean they crashed their car, and they don't allow that experience to deter them from driving, right? Or people get hit by cars, yet you walk out into the street every day. Like it's interesting how in other areas of our life, or you had a bad relationship, you don't just give up on relationships for the rest of your life. But with this, and not just businesses, and actually maybe in most businesses, some people go, I opened, to that Janelle's point, a coffee shop, it failed, I'll never try again. No, like you can adjust. The difference to me is here, there are very few companies that are in our industries where you're shelling out $50,000 to get the business off the ground. There certainly aren't. I've done, again, real estate. I know guys who've spent over $125,000 doing a build out in a commercial space, not knowing whether a year from now, let alone 90 days from that point, their business is going to be shut down, or it's just not going to take off the way there. So certainly, just the price of the barrier of entry into ours is significantly less. And one of the things Janelle pointed out that I do want to say, again, if you're being presented this opportunity by someone, be mindful of what they are saying is possible. And I mean that to say, most companies, if not all of the ones that I've seen, give an income disclosure statement, and many of them put on their income disclosure statement the percentages of people who earn the income that's being reported. And where you see most people is in that $0 to $500 or $0 to $200, $0 to $100 range. And what that tells to me is it gives you a realistic expectation based on your effort. Now you can ask those questions. Well, you're saying that you can drive a brand new Maserati. Ask to talk to the person who's doing that, so that you can have a real conversation. Many people have uplines, or whoever is above them that's making that significant money. say, look, I am interested in this and I want to do what you're saying is possible here. Can you get me in contact with a person at this level so that I can understand what that effort looks like? The chances are, unless you're at a big shot meeting, you're talking to your brand new friend, your cousin, you like Janelle said, your aunt, your uncle, somebody who just got started. And the reality of it is they aren't earning that level of money. I heard a guy in the gym berating his cousin who just started in Herbalife because she's not doing well. And I literally looked over at him and he goes, yeah, you know, she's in one of those things. And I looked over and he goes, I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, she's not doing so well. And I go, did you join? And he goes, no. I'm like, well, you're one of the customers that aren't helping her. And he's like, oh, well, I mean, and I'm like, so you want to wait until she's doing really well before you jump on? I was like, look at your mindset. And he just sat there because he had nothing to say, because that's the reality. Like, we don't treat other businesses like that. You know, you're not going by the guy at the store and the store is empty and go, oh, you ain't selling nothing today? Like, you didn't sell any clothes today? Like, how odd is, or you walk into Burger King and it's empty. And you're like, oh, you're not selling any burgers today? Like, we don't do those in normal businesses. But when your friend says they're starting their own business, you're waiting until they're already doing great before you decide to join or help them or whatever it is, take part in it. That's awful. And the other side of something else that you touched on, Jay, in terms of the effort side, that is really where a crux of people who don't do well in this is, because they don't give it enough time. You haven't been trained on how to do this. Let's be honest. Most of us who've gone to, even if you've gone all the way up to graduate school, like Janelle, I know many of you've been taught how to show up, take information in, you know, pass exam. That's not a business. None of those things are businesses. You're not being taught how to run a business. You're being taught how to show up to a place, learn or get information, and then do what's necessary to get grades or graded and that structure is how most jobs work. If you show up, do what we told you to do today, we will give you evaluations every couple of days or every couple of months, and you will be compensated. In most businesses, that's not how that works, right? So you don't know how to do this yet. So if you're looking at this industry, the other side of this that you will really want to ask is, what is the training like? How often will I have an opportunity to be trained on what it is that I need to do? Because I am interested in making this or making the type of income that you're saying is possible here. But I know I don't know. And maybe many people, again, if you've done business, I've done this, I've made this mistake, thinking that all businesses are interrelatable. And I don't think that necessarily is the truth in here, because even when I was my own independent agent as a real estate broker, I still had a boss who had an expectation of numbers. So I had someone that had an expectation of what he wanted to happen. And that drove me to make sales. And when you're doing commission based, it's obviously very easy to know that if you don't make a sale, you don't get paid. But I had another different 25-minute timer going and mine just went off. So I know where we are. But no, this was a great conversation, man. Again, thank you guys for that question. Thank you to everybody that watched live. I saw a lot of people popping in and out. If you guys got value from today's episode, please drop a heart emoji in the chat and below. If you guys have follow-up questions, please drop a comment. We will definitely check back. We will comment back to you guys. I don't know if we have our email up, because you guys could definitely email us. Or again, you can go to our YouTube channel. YouTube, excuse me, you're on YouTube now. If you go to our Instagram channel at Say That Channel, you can send us a private message. Janelle and I will definitely get back to you guys, because again, one of the mission of this channel, we love talking to different entrepreneurs. We love educating you guys about the mindset it takes to succeed and thrive in business. But we are very passionate about this industry. We truly believe that it can transform your life. It is something that is generational, because you can leave this money for your kids. You can, you know what I mean? And there's very few models that are built, very few that are structured the way ours is. And we just want people to be informed. We want the masses to be informed, so that they know that there's an opportunity out there that they could be letting go right by. We don't want you to miss out. Jay, do you guys have, thank you for watching. I know we may not have it, but shout outs to our guest hosts a couple weeks back, Brittany Wright and Janelle, who are going to be in Brooklyn this coming weekend at our brunch pitch. I wish we had that information up for you guys right now. Sorry, that was on us. But if you are in Brooklyn, we're actually going to throw it up on our Instagram page, so you definitely want to go there. You guys can still get tickets. They're going to be bringing the heat talking about this industry, talking about this channel, and how our the vision for our platform and what we want to do there. Janelle, is there anything you want to say about the brunchers? I know you guys are excited.
I'm really excited. It's called the Brunch Pitch. You could Google it, because like you'll find it there too. It's on Eventbrite. But definitely you want to be in the room. They're going to have some really high profile judges, including Precious Williams, who has been all over the place between the New York Times, Fox Business News, CNNBC. She was just invited to Harvard, just like to help people with their pitches and their businesses. And we also have one of the producers from Shark Tank, who's going to be one of the judges. So it's just, I mean, it's going to be a really, really big deal. And if you're in the New York area, if you live in Brooklyn, but definitely we'd love to have your support. Come out, see the other people who are also pitching. If you're new to business, like this could be a great opportunity to network as well.
Absolutely. And be on the lookout for that Say That swag that's going to be dropping this weekend too. That Say That swag is finally out there, guys. It's something that we've envisioned. And again, it's just been such a blessing to work with women like you guys. I'm excited about seeing the shirts dropping this weekend. That's going to be a big, big, big deal. And again, guys, we thank you guys for being here with us. We thank you guys for, just being loyal and just staying with the vision and just riding with us as we go through this. So as we close it out,
as always, remember, you deserve the good life. Say that.
Have an amazing Wednesday, you guys.